my boy. It's good to be back.
Okay. I'm going to apologize real quick.
Oh, God.
Just in case you hear my wonderful grandchildren screaming in the background. They are here. So if you hear that, that's what it is.
They're
Anyway.
wanting their grandpappy to come back and swallow them and stop talking to me about Bama and college football.
That's what. See, she's yelling at me. Hi. Oh man. Hey, good night. We're gonna talk about Bama, but before we go, what we do?
We're going already. Wow, that was a quick show, Adam.
Share, review, pound the freaking subscribe button on YouTube. Hit the like button. If you're listening wherever else you get it, Apple, Spotify, Blake tells you guys all the time, subscribe, unsubscribe, subscribe, unsubscribe, do it. It helps.
Definitely. It definitely helps everything.
It helps. It 100% helps. And again, we appreciate everybody who always is tuning in, watching. Throw your comments in here. We got a lot to talk about tonight. Miami stuff, the upcoming Mercer game.
That's
some little tidbits. Other little tidbits in there as well. So,
dude, but what a crazy week one of college football.
Yeah.
I mean, we had some almost upsets. We had some close games that I thought weren't going to be so close. I mean, one we got to talk about for sure is that Oklahoma-Tulane game. Man, Tulane brought it all and left it all in the field over there in Norman, Oklahoma.
So, we opened up. Saban opened up the indoor facilities for Tulane, obviously because of the hurricane that came through.
Right.
And I'm convinced on that game, Blake, that if that might have been played at home in Tulane, it might have went a little different.
I mean, honestly, Tulane did everything they could to win that game in Oklahoma. I mean, they did absolutely everything they could. And they only fell 5 points short. I mean, what a comeback in that second half they had. I think they were down by 17 at one point, 18 maybe, and then just charged back. When they got that onside kick, I really had faith that they were about to beat Oklahoma.
And then he ended up, a half a yard short of that first down, driving. So it was
tragic.
It was
tragic.
It was fun to watch because I don't like Oklahoma, but
right.
It was weird to see Spencer Rattler have a couple of turnovers like that against a Tulane team. You know what I mean?
He had several. I mean, he could have very easily cost them that entire game and choked in the very first week to a Tulane team who had no business being up there with Oklahoma.
Zero business.
Absolutely nuts. Now, another one of those early games, it was kind of slow start and kind of picked up in the second half was the Penn State-Wisconsin game. Penn State got that quick score in the first half. Wisconsin struck back too. Yeah. And then it kind of was back and forth. One of those old Big Ten-style defensive type games. And then Penn State pulling the upset. I mean, that surprised me a little bit.
That Wisconsin quarterback to me is not good. I'm just going to say it.
Well, Wisconsin's really known for their running back, so let's be real. I mean,
it's a run conference. Big Ten is power run, man.
No doubt. Yeah, that was another one. I really thought Wisconsin was going to pull that one out, probably easily beat Penn State, but Penn State really surprised me on that one. The big game of the night, Georgia-Clemson, that was wild Saturday. I mean, we just saw two defenses go back and forth, knocking each other out. I mean, what a game.
I was gonna ask you on this. I watched that game, and remember, I predicted Georgia to win in our pregame. But was the defense really that good, Blake, or were their offenses not playing as well as they should? I think it's both. I think their defenses are legitimately good, but I was not impressed with either quarterback, especially DJ.
I don't think either offense looked a whole lot prepared for what they were handed on Saturday. I mean, the defense is just – they were throwing blitzes in there left and right, getting back to the quarterback. Clemson couldn't stop a blitz faster than they could stop a nosebleed. I mean, it was rough. Yeah. But I really thought Clemson was going to end up winning this by a couple of scores. It really surprised me that they couldn't put points on the board with Ukulele or whatever the hell his name is. I need a ukulele in here whenever I say his name.
Ukulele.
DJ Ukulele.
But, yeah, I was thinking about it as I was watching, and then after the game, I thought, man, is this defense? Was the defense that good, or was the offense shitty? You know,
I think we just saw two really good defenses. Georgia has a great defense. They're not up there with Alabama or anything like that, and we'll get to about how Alabama's heads and shoulders above everybody else. But Georgia's got a very tough defense. Do they have the offense to match it? I don't know. They're pretty young still. I mean, they still have some very young receivers out there, which they're kind of known for bringing in guys young and starting them pretty quick because they got the talent. I mean, Ridley's little brother was one of those back in the day.
Yeah.
But I was really surprised. Georgia 10-3. I mean, Clemson only scoring 3 points. That's wild. I really think the ACC is up in the air, and I really think this next game we're going to talk about, Notre Dame, Florida State, really showed out who's going to be top dog this year in the ACC. Florida State really, I think, surprised a lot of people. I know I had picked them to beat Notre Dame in this game, and they only fell 3 points short. They were down 18 going into the fourth quarter, made a comeback, and we're so close. I mean, what a story, Mackenzie Milton coming back from that awful injury that he had, where the doctors have said that he would probably never be able to walk without being in pain again, and then going out there and leading them literally to one of the greatest comeback stories I've ever seen on a college football field. Like, that was absolutely epic.
Yeah, I think a doctor came on while that game was going on and said 99.9% of people would not be doing what he's doing right now. Meaning walk again. I mean, they were talking, it's kind of reminiscent of Alex Smith, how they were talking about amputation and just different things and with that. And what it is, it's a great story. What was horrible was at the end of that game, Florida State kicked that field goal, 52-yarder. Then I don't remember what happened. I don't remember if they challenged or something.
They challenged that it was a fumble. It was the fumble on the play because they called a fumble and they had lost him about 12 yards or 18 yards, I believe, something like that. And I know I saw they blew the whistle and he kicked the ball from 51, I believe, and it was good. And then they moved it up to a 36-yard field goal, and by God, that man pulls it left. I mean, that hurt my heart. I felt for everybody over in Bobby Dodd Field and James Dodd Stadium. Like, that's rough.
We as Bama fans know what it's like before now to not have a kicker. That
we'll also get to that too.
Yeah,
later.
we will.
My boy Will Riker balling out.
But you actually, I think when we did another show, you predicted FSU to win the ACC, if I wasn't mistaken.
I've said it. I don't know if I've said it on here, but I've been saying it out loud. I really think the ACC is so trash this year that it's up in the air for really anybody. And Florida State really showed me more than anybody else in the ACC this year or this past week so far. I mean, we saw Miami. They couldn't do anything with Bama. You saw Clemson couldn't do anything with Georgia. North Carolina went into Blacksburg, Virginia on Thursday night or Friday night. Actually got embarrassed. I mean, the ACC's down. I don't know who's going to pop out of there. I mean, Duke struggled with a Charlotte team. You just never know. But I think Florida State, they got the coaching staff. They have the guys. If Mackenzie Milton becomes the QB1, that's going to be an awesome story, and I think can really give this team a lot of momentum going into the season and be able to beat these big teams that they've struggled with in the past few years.
Yeah, I believe that if I'm Florida State and I'm Mike Norvell, I have Mackenzie Milton starting at quarterback. Nothing against Jordan Travis or Travis Jordan, whatever the hell his name is. He doesn't throw the ball well. Mackenzie Milton does both. And Mackenzie Milton looked really freaking good to have that injury. He was mobile. He was poised in the pocket. Obviously, he led them to a great comeback. It should have probably been a win, but it's not over, obviously, until it's over. So, but if I'm Mike Norvell, I'm starting Mackenzie Milton. I don't know who they play next, but I would definitely look at putting him in the game early if he's not starting.
No doubt. And then we had two other games. UCLA took it to LSU. It was pretty wild seeing the crowd there and how dominant it was LSU in California. I mean, it was like a home game for them.
Yeah.
And then before the game, Coach Ed Orgeron calling out the Sissy Blue shirt for the game and then absolutely getting that ass whipped all game long.
That was hilarious.
LSU's lost so much talent, man. It's going to be a long time. Ed Orgeron caught lightning in a bottle when he first got there. He's not a good coach. I mean, he wasn't a good coach before. He's not a good recruiter. Nobody can hardly tell what he's saying. The man talks in fucking tongues. Honestly, who wants to go get coached by that? And then maybe you get drafted to the NFL. Why don't you go get coached by the GOAT? I mean, it makes no sense.
I used to look forward to that game every year, like the LSU Bama game every year. And obviously 2 years ago when it was Burrow and Chase and Jefferson, they had that historic little season. They had one season, you guys aren't a freaking dynasty. You haven't done it for 15 years like we have, but I always get excited for that game, and I'm not this year. And I have tickets, you know what I mean? I have tickets to that game. So I'm going to go, obviously. But
I think it doesn't have the flashiness that it's had in the past where these high caliber football teams are about to play each other. I mean, LSU's known for having one of the best defenses in the country and having some kind of flashy offensive star. And I just don't see it this year. I mean, they're struggling. They've lost way too much, and they haven't reloaded like they've needed to. They're going to struggle all year. I think it's going to be an ass whooping when they play Alabama.
What about the old Lane Train's team? That Lane Train wasn't there, though, obviously.
Lane Train was sitting in the office watching from afar, but it didn't change much of what I thought was going to happen. Ole Miss absolutely derailed Louisville 43-24. Man, I told you before the season started, Ole Miss scared me going into the season, and that they were my trap game for Bama. Now, I'm telling you, man, Matt Corral's a good quarterback. Dude can sling it. They got some weapons at receiver that are absolute monsters. I mean, Ole Miss, they have a chance to be a sleeper in the SEC West.
Yeah, you can't count out Lane Kiffin on the offensive side of the ball. He's a mastermind of an offensive coach. But Matt Corral, they proved last year against Bama, obviously. I mean, that game was back. There was no defense in that game. Those guys were back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And I think you are right when you called it. I think that's definitely a trap game for Alabama this year.
No doubt. What was one of your biggest surprises from week one that you saw around the country?
Honestly, I was real. We've already talked about it, but I was really shocked with the UCLA LSU game. I did not see that coming at all. I'll tell you the other one that I'm shocked at, and it's just because my son is part of the athletic training program at Vanderbilt.
Oh, God.
And Vanderbilt lost like, I don't remember the score, 30-3 or something to East Tennessee State.
ETSU, that's terrible.
So I would say those two games were probably.
I think Tulane was my second one with Oklahoma. That was wild what they did. And then my next one is Iowa, being where they are. And this week, Iowa and Iowa State, number 9 versus number 10. Who would have ever thought they would have heard number 10 Iowa taking on number 9 Iowa State? I am absolutely shook. What is going on? That's not supposed to happen.
We talked about Iowa State when we did our top 25 review. And how I think they were 7th then. Maybe they were 9th. I don't remember. We both were like, why? Because of Brock Purdy. It's Brock Purdy. He's not. It's not like he's something special, bro. And it's Iowa State.
Iowa State struggled this week with a FCS opponent at home. I think they only won by a touchdown or 10 points, something like that.
I think it was 10.
It was a struggle win, and I really think Iowa's going to bring it to him this week and show him who's the better team in the state of Iowa.
Yeah.
But to the most important game of the weekend that happened in Mercedes-Benz Stadium at 2:30, the University of Alabama took on the Miami Hurricanes and absolutely handled business.
Destroyed them. Destroyed them. Made them look like chumps. I put a tweet out and I don't know if De'Aaron King said it or not, but it was to the effect of, we're going to beat Alabama badly. It's going to be by double digits. And he had the U is back is what he said. Now look, dude, don't talk shit until after the game like that. It's not, the U is not back. Sorry, anybody that's watching. The U is not back. U's not back yet. It's not going to happen. And
so unoriginal.
They're just not. I mean, it's not 2001.
Yeah, that's 20 years ago. I mean, it's long. This dynasty's been rolling through Tuscaloosa for a long time.
Yeah. So I don't know what the surprise to me, Blake, in this whole game was, and I talked about it too. We both have, was how well the defense was going to look this season. Not that they were bad last season, but I'm going to tell you, we're going to get to it. But our outside rushers are freaking animals on defense. And how the hell do we say Henry's last name? Toa. Thank you, Tennessee. That's all I'm going to say.
And he did catch an injury in the game. I think he's going to be okay and ready to rock here.
Yeah.
But, man, it was absolutely wild. 72,000 people showed out. Mercedes-Benz was sold out. Great crowd. Predominantly Bama fans, of course. And it was funny to see how confident Miami fans were going into that game Saturday. Like, I don't understand where this confidence came from. Like, did y'all really think you were going to come in to Bryant-Denny East and handle business? Because it didn't look like it on the field. The fans were, I think, were a lot more confident than the team was going into it. But, man, what can we say about Bryce Young? First start, and he starts breaking records, his very first start out for Alabama.
Yeah. First player, with 4 touchdowns in his opening game.
4 touchdowns. A man threw for 344 yards. No interceptions. I mean, he was on the money. His passes on the run, man. That first one to Mechie was perfect. Mechie was also wide open by like 15, 20 yards all around him. I mean, what a bust by the Miami defense. I think the funniest play of the night was on the fumble that they gave to Miami originally, and then Miami got out the turnover chain.
Yes.
And, of course, ESPN, ABC crew had to catch them giving back the turnover chain. I think that was probably the funniest thing I've seen in a long time.
That was great. Yeah, Bryce Young, man, looked really poised. He didn't look rattled at all to be his first start up against a ranked team in Miami. And people were asking me, too, was Miami really that bad, or was Alabama that good? Or, and I'm like, look, they're ranked 14th, so it is what it is. But Alabama, I watched Colin Cowherd put a little video out today, and he said it's amazing how Alabama can lose 6 starters on offense to the NFL draft, and the next season comes along and it's seamless.
And they're also replacing 3, 4, 5, 6 coaches also on that staff. I mean, it was like I was saying, they reload. They don't just move on and try to pick up where the slack was. There's no slack. It's all reloading and keep on firing forward.
What'd you think about Bill O'Brien's play calling on offense?
I thought, honestly, it was perfect. I mean, the system fits the players he has. I mean, Bryce looked absolutely comfortable in it the entire game. He didn't miss a step. The offensive line might have been the best I've seen ever in a first game, especially. I mean, I didn't see hardly any flaws in that Alabama team from head to toe.
I'll tell you what made me really happy in that. Obviously, winning the game and in an easy fashion was happy for me. But seeing Trey Sanders score a touchdown, getting the end zone,
that was awesome. Seeing the young guys out there. I think my favorite thing was Jamison Williams, the transfer from Ohio State. The guy went from making no plays up in Ohio to busting a 94-yard touchdown and just busting that game wide open. I mean, Atlanta went crazy. I mean, he had 4 catches for 126 yards, so that 94-yard catch was majority of his yards. But that's an insane stat line from going nothing like that at OSU to becoming a playmaker, an absolute stud on that receiving core for Alabama.
And on that play, too, that 94-yarder, Bryce Young took a huge hit to the head. He stood in the pocket, made the throw. That's what I like about him, too. He is a dual threat kind of guy. I mean, he was the number 1 dual threat quarterback in his class coming out of high school, but he stayed in the pocket. He wanted to throw first, not run. And that's what he did. And then when he did run, like you said, he hit throws on the run were perfect. You couldn't have asked for a better start of a game from Bryce Young.
It was fascinating watching a guy first start being able to step in the pocket and keep his composure and make absolutely dime throws to his receivers. I mean, even if they weren't open, he'd make them open. Another guy that really impressed me is tight end Cameron Latu. I mean, he had 3 catches, 43 yards. Two of his 3 catches were touchdowns. I mean, that's impressive. You know, Billings was on the sideline for breaking COVID protocols. And he's going to get his chance to come back. But, oh, man, where is Alabama not deep at? I mean, tight end, they got 3 guys literally that could start right now anywhere in the country and be a huge contributor to the offense.
I was thinking about that also. It's like, where are they the weakest at on the field? If you had to pick a weakest link to Alabama, it's not the linebackers.
Right guard? Like, I'm just taking a blind guess out there. Like,
I mean,
shit, I don't know.
I mean, it's not safeties because you got, Battle back there. I mean, it was insane. It's insane. Like Colin Coward said, how they just reload and it's seamless every single year. What about the running game?
Because running game was impressive, man.
I mean, I was talking about B-Rob, and I wanted to see how he did, and I thought he did well.
Man, he really reminded me of Josh Jacobs, the way he was running the ball, bouncing off tackles. Miami wasn't wrapping up very well, and he was taking advantage of it. Got great balance, really good motion off the ball. I mean, he's quick. But in my opinion, out of all 3 guys, between Robinson, Sanders, McClellan, Trey just seemed to find the hole better and get downhill faster than all 3 of them. I mean, the guy just looked like a natural, and we've been waiting to see him play after he came off that injury in that car in their accident last year. Didn't really get to see him play. He showed out. I think he has found him a spot in that running back arsenal where he can become a starter pretty somewhere in the season, especially if Robinson starts slipping up.
Yeah. I was excited about B-Rob, though, just because he's been there, he stayed, he's put in his time, and I'm excited for him. But I was very happy that Trey Sanders got to play. 1, got to play, and 2, he got in the end zone. He looked really good running the ball. He didn't look like extremely fast to me, but he was hitting holes, like you said, right, hitting gaps, right, and just getting positive yardage. So you couldn't ask for any more. It's weird now, like, we're passing for 300, 400 yards a game and only getting, 100 yards, 125, 150 yards run. It used to be run, hand the ball to Mark Ingram, hand the ball to TJ Hill.
That just shows you how much the game's evolved and how Nick Saban didn't stay in his ways and changed with the game. And that's why Bama stays dominant like they have. I mean, Nick Saban could have, before he hired Nick Saban, just said, we're going to stay running the ball. We're not going to change. We're going to be the same Alabama. But he didn't. He knew that the game was changing, and they couldn't be the only outliers on that outside of it looking in because they were going to get passed real quick, and that dynasty was going to be over like everybody was saying it would be. But when he hired Lane Kiffin, it changed the offense, man, and he hasn't missed a beat since Kiffin, man. I mean, they're putting, like you said, 300, 400, 500 yards on people easy, putting up 40, 50 points a game. I mean, how do you keep up with that? I mean, you have to have a just as good offense to try to keep scoring too.
Yeah, it's not like the old days when he first got and we were beating LSU 9-6 or it's you got to score 45 points to keep up with Alabama. And good luck scoring 45 points on our defense this year. Just saying.
That's what we were getting ready to get to. First, before we do that, Will Reichard, my boy, he's got the longest streak in FBS right now, kicking, went 3 for 3, hit a 38-yarder, 51-yarder, and a 40-yarder. The dude is automatic, man.
I can't tell you how nice it is to not have to worry about a kicker kicking a field goal for Alabama.
Boy, I still worry. It don't matter who's kicking the ball. I know that miss is coming. I just know eventually it's coming.
It's coming. But it's not like, oh my God, get down on our knees, national championship game, and we were like, oh my God, please, and it's a boot left, At least we got a little more confidence with old Will Reichard, man.
Right. And we were talking about that defense, man. What can we say? I mean, they did not give up hardly anything to that Hurricane offense that was so talked about with De'Aaron King. Yeah. I mean, they really shut him down. King only had 178 yards, threw a touchdown, but he had 2 interceptions. they had him rattled, it looked like, all game. Miami couldn't get anything started, no rhythm, just no flow whatsoever.
First off, shout out to Chris Allen because I feel so bad for this kid.
Dude made an awesome play and then injured his foot for the season.
I mean, the kid's been hurt more than he's got to play, unfortunately. And he is a force with Will Anderson on one side, Christopher Allen on the other side. It was extremely fun to watch in that first quarter. How Will Anderson cannot be tamed. He is so quick off the ball. And those big 300-pound guards don't know how to. They can't move quick enough. They can't move quick enough to block him.
Right,
and that showed halfway through last season when he had 0 sacks through the first 6 games. In the last 7 or 8 games, he had 7. I mean, it shows his development. Mind you, he's a sophomore, so we've got a couple more years with him at least, and it was very impressive. But shout out to Chris Allen.
For sure, I saw a graphic of Will Anderson coming off the ball. And the ball had just been snapped, and he's already 2 steps into the backfield.
Yeah.
That's absolutely absurd how fast he is.
Let me ask you this, Blake.
Yep.
Do you re-sign Pete Golding?
At this point, yeah. I mean, people gave him hell last year because the defense wasn't clicking yet. But they had to remember that was a young defense still learning a new system. They just didn't get the hang of it at first. But once you saw the system work, I mean – they hardly gave up anything until that Florida game last year. And then you see this year, that first game, Miami couldn't do anything with that defense. I mean, they were all over the field swarming, head busting. Let me tell you, they were sticking some people. Yeah. And that Miami offensive line couldn't really handle that Alabama defensive line. They're just so deep. Bama's fluctuating players every 2-3 plays, keeping them fresh. And I don't see anybody that can run or pass on that Bama defense.
This isn't on our outline, but I'm going to ask you, what was your biggest surprise on defense? Who was your surprise player on defense, or just moment, whatever, on what made that night for you on the defensive side of the ball feel like, okay, Alabama's, we're ready to play this year?
I think it was a secondary. I mean, we didn't give up hardly any big plays off the deep ball. I mean, everybody did their job. They stayed in their zone. They played their man. They did exactly what they needed to do to win that game and do it easily. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's what Nick Saban always says. As long as you do your job, you will be successful. And that's all they did. And it's exactly what they were. They were successful.
How about that one pass? I got to bring this up. The pass interference call on us where it looked like that the Miami receiver was actually pulling us down.
Right, he pushed off first and then pulled him down. It was trash.
It was freaking trash, man. I think mine, second, that's a good one. I think mine, and I'm not going to say Will Anderson because we know what he can do. Mine was, I'm going to go with Henry Toa, because he came in, wasn't supposed to be a leader of sort. He came, and he's a freaking signal caller now. He's a play caller now in the middle of that defense. He's a man. He's big, aggressive, doesn't miss tackles. I think you are right. He did get hurt, but I did see he had a little brace on. I think he was going to be fine. I think he's going to be fine. If I'm, and we'll get to this here in a minute, who we're playing this week. But my big surprise was him in the middle being able to step up for Alabama, call plays in, get people moved in the right motions and right sets. It was just impressive to me. So,
yeah, absolutely. I loved Henry. I told you going into that game, Henry Toa was one of mine to watch, and he showed out.
Yeah, he did. We got a comment in here from Tim. He said, "Hey guys, just may have missed it, but
I really thought that said anal. I ain't gonna lie."
Thought Robinson's performance, especially early in the game, helped set the dominant tone of the game with him and Trey Sanders in the backfield. It's going to really hard to stop us on 3rd and short or goal line rumble. Exactly. He is right. Yeah. You can't forget Jace McClellan either in there, but like Blake said, Trey Sanders has the making and I may Trey Sanders has the making to be a starter there, I think.
Yeah, that's very possible. I think this week that's something I was going to talk about. The Mercer game with Trey Sanders. We're going to get to see a lot of him this week. Mm-hmm. It's going to be exciting to see. I think he's going to go for triple digits this weekend. He's going to have some big plays. It's going to be fun. So let's go ahead and go into that Mercer game. So Mercer coming in. This is one of those cupcake games. This is one of those pretty much practice games for Bama to fine tune everything, getting ready for that SEC schedule. I got 3 keys to victory. Shouldn't be very hard, anyways. But number one, Bama's got to show up. I mean, they got to go in there, do the Walk of Champions. It's business as usual. They got to go in there, strap up to what they do every single game, and go out there and execute. And that leads into number 2, do your job. Like we said earlier, Nick Saban, if you do your job, you're going to be successful. If Alabama goes out there and does their job on every single play, they will absolutely dominate this team. Number 3, do the fundamentals. As long as they do the little things right and do them well, they're going to win this game hand over fist easily.
Look, I got 1 key to victory. You ready?
What's up?
It is score early, score often, and get your starters out of the game.
That was 3.
I meant to bleed it all together. So
yeah, you did. Yeah, you blended 3 into 1.
The starters will not play after the first half.
No, and that's why I was going to say get into players to watch.
Yeah,
and number 3 for me is Juju Earl. I want to see him get some catches this week, see what he can do in the open field, see how explosive he really is. We got to see him a little bit this Miami game this past week, but he's one of those guys I really want to see get some reps with probably Tyson, maybe a little bit more Bryce. Christian Harris on defense, dude, I want to see him do some play calling as well, just in case Henry To'oTo'o gets hurt like he did this past weekend. I want to see how well he can execute as a leader on the field and see if he can be that head honcho down in the middle of the front 7. And then number 1, we were just talking about Trey Sanders. I want to see him get a lot of touches on Saturday. I want to see how well he is in a full game. See what he can really do. The guy was explosive. Like I said, he saw the holes really well this weekend. I thought better than the other 2 running backs. He got downhill very fast, was extremely explosive off the line. I think he's a guy Alabama's going to be able to count on a lot going down the road, and I think this weekend is going to be one of his breakout weekends.
Yeah, I agree. I think Trey Sanders is 3 for me. I want to see him, like you said, I want to see him get 15, 20 touches if possible, whether that's running the ball or catching the ball in the backfield, making things happen. Hi. My granddaughter's coming in.
Oh, Lord.
I think one for me, though, is going to be I want to see how Billingsley reacts this week to being not playing a lot in that first game, obviously due to personal reasons. What do you want, girl? And number 1 for me is actually not Paul Tyson. I think Jalen Milroe is going to get some playing time at quarterback.
For sure. We saw him get in on Saturday, which I think everybody was excited to see. We got a lot of reps in for a lot of people.
He's got I don't think he's not a bad passing quarterback. He's not known for it. I think he's more of a running quarterback, but I want to see how he plays. And against the Mercer team, it's no offense to Mercer fans. You're not going to, it's Alabama versus Mercer. So I really want to see him and what he can do with the ball in his hand. Maybe that might be our future. We don't know. We get so many quarterbacks and players in every year that we don't really know that situation. But I think I'd like to see him get some playing time, see what he can do with the ball.
No doubt. Now, we've talked about very quickly our keys to the game, who to look for. How do you think the game's going to go? Give me a score prediction.
I'm going to be nice here, and I'm going to say 52-3.
52-3. We are not very far off again. We're only 13 points off this time. I know we were pretty close. I think you were pretty close on our score prediction. I'll have to go look. Yeah. Give me a second.
No, I think what did I say? 48-21, maybe?
It was, did you say 21?
I might have not said 20. 17? I might have said, I don't remember what I said.
I don't know. I can't find it.
We were like 8 points. I think we were like 4 or me and you were only like 4 or 8 points difference.
Something like that. I'm going to go a little more or less merciful and Mercer. I'm going to go 62-6 Alabama. Woo! I think this is going to be one of those where Bryce Young gets in, gets his 4 touchdown, gets out. I think everybody else is going to have like a great day. Trey Sanders is going to have 2 or 3 touchdowns. But everybody's going to eat. I think this weekend it's going to be a big, big warm-up game for them. Now, week 2 pick 'em. Now I got us 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 games. And we just picked the Bama game, so that'll count as a 10th. But we'll go down the line. Number 12 Oregon's traveling to Ohio to take on the number 3 Ohio State Buckeyes. Who you got?
I'm going to go Buckeyes.
Buckeyes. I'm gonna go Buckeyes too. Oregon really didn't show me what I thought they were going to have on Saturday. They struggled, just like a bunch of other good teams struggled too. That's one I think Ohio State's going to easily win that game. They kind of struggled as well. Minnesota near the end. Minnesota was making some noise, and then Ohio State kind of pulled away. I think Ohio State wins that one pretty easy. Yeah. Number 10, Iowa travels to number 9, Iowa State. Not a very far travel for them. I think this is a very overrated game. I got Iowa beating the absolute dog shit out of Iowa State.
I got Iowa big, double digits. I mean, double digits. I mean, that's not big, but it is big. I mean, I still don't see it until Iowa State proves something to me. I don't see it. Iowa is a good defensive team, and they always are. But I think Iowa runs away with that easily.
No doubt. Same. Number 15, Texas travels to Fayetteville to take on the Arkansas Razorbacks. I got Texas bigly.
Bigly?
Bigly.
Yeah, I got Sark. I'll take Sark big in that game.
Arkansas struggled this past week too. I just don't see them being anywhere near close with the Longhorns have.
I love their coach. I like Sam Pittman. I like him, but they're not going to beat Sark.
That doesn't help them in a college football game.
No, it doesn't.
Number 5, Texas A&M travels to Colorado.
As much as it pains me, Jimbo will pull that win out.
Yeah, it should. Colorado should be another one of those warm-up easy games. It's going to be interesting for them traveling to that game. So we'll see how that goes. Yeah. I'm sure everybody will be as high as the Texas A&M score by the scoreboard as soon as that game's over with. This one's interesting. Appalachian State traveling to Coral Gables to take on the number 22 Miami Hurricanes.
You know what? I'm going to say it. App State's going to pull it out.
Man, see, why'd you have to say that? Because I wanted to say it. Now you ruined my pick. Now I'm going to go with Miami just so we do something different. I'm tired of picking the same thing as you.
Yeah. These games aren't hard. These games aren't hard to pick, though. I mean, honestly,
you Miami think that until these next few picks start popping up.
All right.
South Carolina's traveling to ECU. The betting lines are even.
Wow. Okay. I'm gonna stick SEC and I'll take South Carolina.
I'm going opposite and saying ECU. I watched ECU play last week. They really impressed me with what they did. South Carolina is not very impressive at all. I mean, they're just one of those SEC teams that just never seems to get any better than they have been. I mean, they just can't seem to find that next level. They're mediocre at best. ECU wins that game at home, and they rush the field.
Okay.
Next game, Pittsburgh, 3.5-point favorite, traveling to Knoxville, Tennessee to take on the Volunteers. Volunteers, 3.5-point underdog.
Am I picking spread or am I picking who's winning the game?
You're picking who's winning the game.
Pittsburgh didn't show me much. Neither did Tennessee because they played Bowling Green. But they're going to Knoxville. Is that what you said?
To Knoxville.
Man, I'm not doing it. I'm picking Pittsburgh.
I'm going with Tennessee here. Tennessee has a pretty good quarterback right now. I think they're better than Pittsburgh, and I think we're going to see that Saturday. Tennessee's going to double digits.
Oh, Lord, Blake just picked the Volunteers.
I pick what I know what's going on. NC State traveling to Starkville to take on the Bulldogs of Mississippi State. NC State, 2.5-point favorite.
Are they ranked this year, NC State?
No.
Man, I just don't know. That's old Leach's team down there, correct? Mike Leach in Mississippi State. Offensive guy. They showed a little bit in a couple of games last year. I'm going to go NC State.
NC State, I'm going to go NC State as well. Mississippi State struggled. I mean, they were down 34-14 at one point Saturday, and then ended up winning the game 35-34. Yeah. Absolutely bonkers that they came back against Louisiana Tech. NC State's better than both those teams put together, and I think they're going to win that one pretty easily in Starkville. And then Missouri's traveling to Lexington to take on the Wildcats. I'm taking Kentucky here by a mile. Kentucky's finally got a quarterback that can throw the ball as well. I think it's going to be a long night for the Tigers and Mizzou, and it's going to be 6-6-6 for the CATS Cats.
I have a hard time with this because I'm from there. I'm from St. Louis. And that's my team. That's my other team. But they will not win. Kentucky will blow the doors off of them on Saturday. They will win by 17 or more.
I agree. I mean, Missouri, they're on the brink of getting kicked out of the SEC for how bad
they should have never left. They shouldn't have ever came in.
Right. We should have just went ahead and taken Texas or Oklahoma when we took Missouri and Texas A&M. I mean, it's just bad. Yeah. Oh, Tim Elliott, Missouri is not good, man. Come on, bro.
Tim's throwing his picks in. He picked Tennessee.
He picked NC State. He picked Mizzou. I mean, you got 2 winners there, but you messed up with the Mizzou. Don't put that on a parlay or you'll bust it.
I don't know, man. Like you said, I don't know if they're on the brink of getting out of the SEC, but they just haven't. They were good the first 2 years they came in when they had Chase Daniel. But other than that,
we keep Missouri here for basketball purposes. I mean, let's be real.
We do. Not anymore, baby. We're a basketball school too. We're a championship
let's not
school.
talk about that. Nehemiah Burnett hurt his knee today, so he will be without him again. Unfortunate basketball news we didn't cover, but I really didn't want to. Who did the intro video?
That man right there. That man right there.
That say your mama did.
Good shout out. Thanks, Brandon, for that intro. It was good.
Brandon, I'll send you the tweaks that I need done. We'll get it right. We'll make sure it's done right.
Oh, it was good. What else you got, brother? 45 minutes in.
45 minutes in. It's going to be a long week. Got another episode of What If tomorrow. We got Zombie Avengers. Should be interesting. You know I love my Marvel. Hey, shout out to all my Nashville SC fans out there. Soccer is getting wild up in Tennessee, possibly looking at a FIFA World Cup qualifier up there. We just had the World Cup qualifier game. They're talking about a World Cup game when in 2026 if the USA hosts. So a lot of cool soccer stuff going on in Nashville. Hockey's just around the corner. October 14th, it's the first game against the Seattle Kraken for the Preds.
You gonna plug that Preds? Are you still doing? Is Seventh Man gonna be back?
Oh, I said we'll be Seventh Man back closer to the season. We're trying to figure out scheduling with John, but I am actually going to be on Catfish on Ice podcast. I think next week. I'll have to plug that with Chad Melton over there. They talked to me tonight when we come on, so we're going to cover some preseason stuff. Should be a good time. We'll figure out what we're talking about then. But yeah, man, so much going on. Let's get rid of this. Let's get rid of this COVID. Get your vaccine, wear your mask, and let's get the heck out of this pandemic, so we can go to a lot more sporting events.
All right, brother. Everybody, please, like we said, we appreciate everybody that obviously that tunes in every week. Please go subscribe, share, review, pound the subscribe. Then do what Blake says again. Unsubscribe, then subscribe again. And by the way, if you're watching on YouTube, please watch it at least 3 minutes of our video. That does help our algorithm as well. But again, we appreciate it. We'll be back next week, same time. Tuesday 7. We'll recap that Mercer game and look ahead to
next week's Florida Hate Week.
Oof. It is Florida Hate Week. I will have some kind of picture up for Florida Hate Week. So, all right, brother. Roll Tide.
Roll Tide. See you next week.